was what the academic process is for multi-time transfers for a guy like Joe Bamasiel, for a guy like Jack Clark, who just came into the VCU basketball program from Clemson, was at NC State before and LaSalle before. How do credits transfer between multiple institutions, and what are the challenges administratively in making sure that those players are on track to graduate with their degrees?
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a bigger topic or area of focus, just as you've noted, there's so many more multi-time transfers and with them being able to transfer and be immediately eligible for competition. And it's definitely going to vary greatly institution to institution, because there's such a spectrum of the amount of total credits that an incoming institution will let a transfer take in. So, for instance, institution A might only allow for up to 60 credits, and typically it's like a 120 credit degree program. To transfer into an institution, those institutions are going to be at a pretty significant disadvantage, because if they're looking to recruit a rising senior, so a rising fourth year student who per the NCAA rules is going to need 60% of his degree credits to be eligible going into that fall semester, that's just going to be impossible with institutional structure and incoming credits, because it's only going to allow for up to 60, which is 50%. So then, that doesn't create an impossible situation. And I am not using VCU specific numbers here. This is kind of just a broader example. But then you have to account for 10% of your degree program credits in that summer between commitment and the fall to then be meeting that percentage of degree program. So, if your institution is set up in that way and in a more minimal transferable credits capacity, that's just going to make the new transfer landscape that much more difficult. I'd say the more typical amount of credits that you see transfer in is, closer to 90, which then, does allow for more flexibility. But then, I'm just using those two different numbers as an example of kind of the disparity and unequal playing field that a lot of schools are looking at when they're assessing incoming transfers. And then, so then to the other part of that question about the academic challenges, I'd say that's the first academic challenging, is just identifying and assessing the feasibility of the incoming transfer coming to the institution and then being eligible for competition by the start of that fall semester. And, if it requires a lot of summer work, then that does mean they're going to be closer to the bottom end of their percentage of degree progress towards degree requirements going into the fall, which just means there's so much less margin for error. Like if you're, because of transfer and losing credits, if you're at 60% exactly at the start of the semester, you need 60%. You're really behind in a lot of senses, because, if you think about graduating on a 4-year track, you should be at 75% going into the start of that fourth year, seventh semester. And so that's, a 15% difference. And a lot of that is likely due to being a multi-time transfer, losing credits in the transfer process, maybe not having all of your degree applicable credits from institution A transfer into institution B, or the program that you want to enroll in at that second institution. And I do think that then has an impact too, as to what degree programs are even feasible at that second school or third school, because, business school is going to accept different amount of credits from sociology, from psychology, from BIS. It varies a lot then once you start looking school by school.